I've carried my father's ring around my neck for 20 years, a silver band carved with geometric lines. He died when I was 6, so my memories of him come in fragments, his laugh, the way he sketched on napkins whenever we ate out. But I remember the day my mother gave me his ring. I was 8. She opened a small wooden box and said, "Your father wore this every day. He wanted you to have it when you were old enough to understand." I didn't understand anything back then. I put it on a chain, wore it without thinking, and eventually forgot it was even there. Until the afternoon I saw a billionaire wearing the exact same ring, down to the pattern. And in that moment, everything I believed about my father, my past, even my own life, shifted. Before we go on, have you ever learned something that completely changed how you viewed someone you loved, or how you viewed your own history? Share it in the comments. And if you enjoy stories about family secrets, promises that span decades, and the moments that change us, be sure to subscribe so you never miss what comes next. I was running late getting back from lunch. I rushed through the glass doors of our Chelsea office building and headed to the 4th floor. Elemental architecture took up the entire level, 12 employees focused mostly on high-end residential work. Nothing like today. Today we were pitching the biggest project in the firm's history, the new headquarters for Armstrong Technologies. A $50 million contract, winning it could change everything. I stepped out of the elevator and almost ran into Anna, our receptionist. "Charlotte, thank God they're early." My stomach flipped, Armstrong as in Christian Armstrong. Gregory, our founder, was already spiraling. Lauren was scrambling through her files. Tyler was fighting with the projector. "Charlotte," Gregory barked. "Water, coffee, make sure everything works." I moved fast, glasses, coffee, projector, done in under 3 minutes. "They're coming up," Anna said in my earpiece. The elevator dinged. 4 men stepped out, 3 in dark suits and 1 in a charcoal grey suit that probably cost more than I made in half a year. Christian Armstrong. I'd Googled him before the meeting. 52, MIT graduate, founder of Armstrong Technologies, net worth 3.8 billion, never married, notoriously private. In person he seemed taller, maybe 62, with salt and pepper hair, sharp features and dark eyes that saw everything. "Mr. Armstrong," I said, "welcome to Elemental Architecture. I'm Charlotte Pierce." "Thank you, Charlotte." I led them to the conference room, poured water, made sure everyone was settled, and took my seat in the corner with my laptop. The presentation began. Lauren walked them through our design philosophy, modern, timeless, functional, warm. Christian listened closely, asking smart, technical questions about materials, sustainability, and structure. Tyler presented early concepts for the headquarters, a 5-story building with glass, steel, open spaces, and endless natural light. Christian nodded. "I like the openness, but I want quiet spaces too, places to think. Not everything should be collaborative." "Absolutely," Lauren said. "We can include private offices and quiet zones." The meeting lasted 90 minutes. By the end, Gregory actually looked hopeful. "We'll review the proposal and get back to you within 2 weeks, Christian said, standing, handshakes all around. I walked them to the elevator. Christian stepped in last and turned to me. "Thank you, Charlotte." "Just doing my job, Mr. Armstrong." When the doors closed, I went back to clean up, collecting glasses, straightening chairs. That's when I noticed it, a matte black pen left on the table where Christian had been sitting. Expensive. I picked it up and turned toward the door. Christian Armstrong was standing right there. "Sorry," he said, "I left my—" "Your pen," I said, holding it out. He walked toward me, reaching for it. And that's when I saw it on his right hand, his 4th finger, a silver ring with geometric engravings. The exact same ring as my father's. My breath caught. I knew that ring. I'd been wearing the same one around my neck for 20 years. Time seemed to slow. My heartbeat thundered as I reached up without thinking and pulled the chain from under my blouse. The ring dangled in front of me, an exact match to his. Christian's eyes followed the movement. When he saw the ring, the color drained from his face. He stared not at me but at the band in my hand. "Where did you get that?" he whispered. "It was my father's." He looked up, shock and disbelief flashing across his face, and something else. Fear. "Who was your father?" "His name was Colin." Christian stepped back like he'd been hit. "Oh my God." He pressed a hand to his mouth, closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were full of tears. Charlotte Pierce." Yes, that's me, do you know me? He swallowed hard. I held you when you were 3 hours old, I'm your godfather. I made a promise to your father 30 years ago and I've been trying to keep it ever since. The room tilted. I don't understand. Your father and I were best friends. More than that, we were brothers, and I've been looking for you for 16 years. We stood in the empty conference room, me gripping the back of a chair, and Christian Armstrong, billionaire stranger, stared at me like he was seeing a ghost. I need to explain, he said softly. But not here, please, let me take you somewhere we can talk. I'm working, I can't just leave. When does your shift end? 6. I'll wait, there's a coffee shop 2 blocks south. Rowan, please. I looked at the tears in his eyes, at the ring on his hand that matched mine. Okay, 6 o'clock. He left without another word. I stood there alone, clutching my father's ring. What just happened? Christian was already at the coffee shop when I arrived. Corner table, 2 lattes waiting, I sat across from him. Your father's full name was Colin James Pierce, he began quietly. Born in Portland, Maine, lost both parents at 16, raised by his grandmother, full scholarship to MIT, we met junior year in the Architecture Society. I stared at him. I don't know what to say yet, please continue. Colin was my best friend, my brother, the only real family I had. My mother never mentioned you, not once, I've never heard your name before today. Christian lowered his gaze. I know, when your father died I tried to help. I offered money, support, anything, but your mother refused, she didn't want charity. She said she could handle everything herself. So you left? No, his voice cracked. I tried for 4 years, I called, wrote letters. She rejected every attempt and eventually, she remarried, changed your last name to Bradford, moved to Connecticut. I'll admit I gave up for a while, but I kept trying every few years. Why does it matter? I whispered. My father is gone. Because I made a promise. He lifted his right hand, showing the ring. December 1994. We were 22, both orphans, both alone. We swore we'd never be alone again. If one of us died, the other would take care of the family left behind. We exchanged rings. This one I'm wearing, it was Colin's. He gave it to me, and I gave him mine. I looked down at the chain around my neck. So this was yours? Yes, Colin wore my ring, now you wear it, and I wear his. The weight of everything hit me at once. Why didn't my mother tell me? I don't know, maybe she wanted to move on. Maybe she wanted to protect you, and reaching out to you directly didn't feel right without her permission. I stood up too quickly, the chair scraping loudly. I need to go. Wait, Charlotte. I don't know you. I don't know why my mother never told me about you, but she had her reasons. And I trust her more than a stranger with a matching ring. Please, he whispered. Thank you for the coffee. I walked out. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in my small studio apartment in Astoria, staring at the ceiling, my father's ring clenched in my hand. Why had my mother kept this from me? I got up and opened the wooden box where I kept my parents' things, photos, letters. At the bottom was a sealed envelope, for Charlotte when you're ready. My mother's shaky handwriting. I'd never opened it. Tonight I did. Inside was a letter and a photograph. The photo showed 2 young men at MIT, both wearing rings on their right hands, both smiling like the world belonged to them. One was my father, the other was Christian Armstrong. I unfolded the letter. My dearest Charlotte. I'm writing this before the illness takes my strength. I've been rethinking many choices lately, but the one that haunts me most is pushing Christian out of our lives. Your father and Christian were best friends. Brothers, when your father died, Christian tried to help us. He offered everything he could, but I couldn't accept it. Every time I looked at him, I saw Colin, and the pain was too much, so I pushed him away. I was wrong. I was proud, hurting, and terrified. In doing that, I took you from the one person who loved your father as deeply as I did, the one person who could have kept his memory alive. Christian adored you, he called you Little Charlie. He's your godfather. He held you the day you were born, he used to put you on his shoulders and run around the yard. He filled your room with books before you could even read. He was in our lives constantly, Sunday barbecues, birthdays, holidays, family dinners. He was always there, he was your father's family, he was our family, and I was the one who pushed him away. I took us from him, the only family he had. Life changes people. Christian isn't the same boy we once knew, and I'm afraid to reach out after all this time. What would he think? I don't want him to believe we're trying to take advantage of him, especially now. But he still reaches out from time to time. If he ever tries to find you, please, my love, give him a chance. For him and for you, you don't have to be alone. I love you always, Mom. I reread it 3 times, then I cried, because for 2 years I had been alone, living in a cramped apartment, drowning in my mother's medical debt. And the entire time someone had been looking for me, someone who should have been part of my life, someone my mother had shut out. I stared at the photograph again. My father and Christian, brothers in every way that mattered. I made a decision. The next morning I called Armstrong Technologies. Mr. Armstrong's office, the assistant answered. This is Charlotte Pierce. I need to speak with Christian Armstrong. 10 seconds later. Charlotte, his voice was breathless, hopeful. Can we meet today after work, same place, 6 o'clock? I'll be there. Christian was already waiting when I reached the coffee shop. Same corner table, 2 lattes. I sat down across from him. Thank you for calling, he said. Did you talk to your mother? My mother died 2 years ago. His face fell. Charlotte, I'm so sorry. Thank you, I found a letter she wrote me. She explained everything, why she pushed you away. She regretted it, she wanted me to find you. Christian's eyes glistened. I never blamed her. Grief makes people do things they never thought they would. What happened to her? ALS, I took care of her for 2 years. Watching her fade, by the time she passed I had already grieved parts of her. But the emptiness stayed. After she divorced my stepfather it was just us. And then just me. That must have been incredibly hard, he said quietly. I understand that feeling more than I'd like to. You mentioned you grew up without family, like my father. Yes, I never knew my biological relatives. I grew up in the system. I was lucky. I had a teacher who believed in me, pushed me, helped me stay focused until I got a scholarship to college. She changed my life, but she's been gone for a long time. I'm sorry, I said gently. You never married. He shook his head. No, I guess I got used to being alone. I don't let people in easily. And work well, it takes all my time. About that, my mother wanted to be sure you didn't think we were after your money. She didn't want it. And neither do I. Charlotte, he said softly, that has never crossed my mind. I took a breath. I want to know about my father, everything. Christian smiled, warm, bittersweet. I can do that, I have so many stories. And he did. For 2 hours he told me about my father, how they met, how my dad kept Christian from dropping out of MIT during a dark period, how they once stayed awake for 72 hours straight building a model, how Christian had been the best man at my parents' wedding, and how my father had cried with joy the night I was born. He loved you more than anything, Christian said. He used to carry your photo everywhere, show it to everyone. This is my daughter Charlotte, he'd say. She's going to change the world. I swallowed hard. I don't remember his voice, just his laugh. He had a kind voice, Christian said. Patient, he never raised it, he was a problem solver. And he sketched all the time, napkins, envelopes, corners of newspapers. He always had a design in his head. I pulled out my sketch pad and opened it to a living room layout. Mid-century modern, clean lines, a walnut credenza, an Eames-style lounge chair. I do the same thing, I said quietly. Interior design. Christian stared at the page. Charlotte, this is beautiful. Did you study design? I was in my 2nd year at FIT, I said. But when my mom was diagnosed with ALS, I dropped out to take care of her. She passed away 2 years ago. I never went back. Medical bills, I'm still paying them. Let me help, he said. No, Christian, I don't want charity. That's exactly what my mother feared. I'm not taking your money. It's not charity, he said, voice firm. It's a promise I made to your father. My father is dead. He saved my life. Christian's eyes softened like he was looking at something years away. When I was at MIT, I was struggling. I didn't fit in, my mentor had just died and I was ready to give up completely. Colin found me one night. He talked me down, made me promise I'd keep going. I'm alive today because of him. Helping his daughter isn't charity. It's honoring the man who gave me a future. I didn't know what to say. I don't need money, I finally whispered. But I wouldn't mind having someone who remembers him, someone who makes me feel less alone. Christian reached across the table and covered my hand with his. "You're not alone, Charlotte. I've been looking for you for years. And now that I've found you, I'm not going anywhere." Over the next 3 months, he became part of my life. Coffee every Thursday. Stories I'd never heard. Pictures I'd never seen. Letters from my father he'd kept for decades. One afternoon he visited my small 350 SQFT studio, furnished entirely with thrifted mid-century pieces. "You did all this yourself?" he asked, amazed. "It's not much, eh?" "Charlotte, this is incredible. Your father would have loved it. He always said good design wasn't about size or money, it was about vision, and you have that." In November, he invited me to his office and unrolled the plans for Armstrong headquarters. "Elemental won the bid," he said. "I want you to design the interiors." "Christian, I'm not a designer, I'm just an assistant." "You're a designer who's been stuck filing papers. I've seen your work, I want to hire you. Freelance, market rate, if it goes well, maybe something bigger." "I don't have a degree." "Neither did your father. He dropped out his last semester. Didn't stop him from being brilliant. Talent doesn't need a diploma, Charlotte, just opportunity." I was terrified, but then I thought of my father, how he never let fear stop him. "Okay," I said, "I'll do it." A few weeks later, he took me to the annual reunion of the Architects Society, class of '94. There were 11 members now. My father had been the 12th. "They want to meet you," Christian said. When I walked into the private room near MIT, 11 people stood at once. Theodore Blackwood, MIT professor. Grace Hartley, biotech CEO. Julian Foster, venture capitalist. Priya Desmukh, neurosurgeon. André Lauron, architect from Paris. Kenji Nakamura, robotics engineer from Tokyo. Rachel Goldman, Supreme Court lawyer. Omar Khalil, clean energy pioneer. Sienna Rossi, Milan designer. Dante Morti, NASA astrophysicist. And Christian. "Everyone," he said softly, "this is Charlotte Pierce, Colin's daughter." "You look like him," Grace whispered. "You have his eyes." "And his smile," Theo added. Andre stepped closer. "Your father was the heart of our class, we miss him every day." Priya smiled gently. "He said you'd be an architect one day, he saw it in you even as a baby." Julian nodded. "We never forgot him. And now that we've found you, we won't forget you either, you're one of us." Then they handed me a small box containing a silver ring, Architects Society, custom made. Inside it was engraved. "Charlotte Pierce, Colin's legacy." "You're part of this family," Christian said. "Whether you want to be or not." I looked at the ring, then at the 11 people surrounding me. "I'll wear it," I said. I worked harder on that project than I ever had in my life. Mid-century modern from floor to ceiling, clean lines, warm walnut, soft leather, linen textures. A space that felt alive, hopeful, intentional. A space my father would have understood. When the building was finally finished, Christian walked through it beside me. "Charlotte," he said quietly, "this is a masterpiece. This is a place where people will create, where they'll build the future, exactly what your father dreamed of." We stopped in the lobby, where a bronze plaque had been mounted on the main wall. "This building honors Colin James Pierce, Architects Society, class of 1994. A visionary, a brother, a father. His legacy lives on in the spaces we build. And the promises we keep." I froze, tears streamed down my face. "My father deserved to be remembered," Christian whispered, "and now he will be." I didn't go back to being an assistant. Christian brought me onto more projects, which led to other clients, which led to opportunities I could never have imagined. I paid off my mother's medical debt. I moved into a sunny one-bedroom in Brooklyn, my first real home. I enrolled in school again part-time. Every Thursday, Christian and I still had coffee. Some Sundays, he invited me to barbecues at his place, sometimes just us, sometimes half the Architects Society sitting around his patio like the brilliant, eccentric family they were. "You know," I told him one Thursday, stirring my coffee, "I spent 2 years thinking I was completely alone. And now I have 11 godparents who text me constantly, and one very persistent billionaire who keeps trying to overpay me." Christian laughed, "You're worth every cent." I reached across the table and took his hand. "Thank you for finding me, for keeping your promise." "You found me, Charlie," he said. "You walked into that conference room wearing your father's ring. Maybe it was fate, or maybe he was still looking out for us." I glanced down at my hands. I wore 2 rings now. My father's ring on my right hand. My Architects Society ring on my left. "Do you think he'd be proud of me?" I asked. "I know he would," Christian said. "You're building beautiful spaces, you're carrying his legacy, you're exactly who he hoped you'd grow into." 3 years have passed since then. I graduated. I opened my own interior design firm, Pierce Design Studio. Residential, commercial, hotels, offices. A team of 6 who feel like family. Christian is still my closest friend, coffee every Thursday without fail. I even started dating again. After my first date with my now boyfriend, Christian was the first person I called, and the 2 of them adore each other. The Architects Society has completely adopted me. I attend reunions every year. 11 brilliant people who became my family the moment they learned my name. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. But I'm building something meaningful. Something he would have been proud of. I wear 2 rings every day, one that belonged to him and one that belongs to me. Reminders that I'm not alone. Reminders that family isn't always blood. Reminders that legacy doesn't end, it just changes hands. There's a photograph on my desk at work, my father and Christian at MIT, young, hopeful brothers in spirit, and next to it a newer photo from last year's reunion, all 11 members of the society and me in the center. Whenever I look at them, I realize something. My father's story didn't end when he died. It lived in 2 orphans who made a promise on a cold December night. It lived in a man who searched for me for years because he'd given his word. It lived in 11 people who welcomed me simply because I carried his name. And now it lives in me. In the spaces I design. In the legacy I build. In the rings I wear. Every single day. I lost my father when I was 6. But his legacy didn't die. It just found a new way to keep living. If you were Charlotte, would you have trusted Christian the moment he said he was your godfather? Or would you have been suspicious, just like she was? Tell me in the comments, what would you have done? If this story about promises kept across decades, chosen family, and the power of a single moment touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more true stories that inspire every day. Thanks for watching.